Hey guys, today is the start of something completely new for us. After being hand dyers for over 17 years, we've started from the ground up and created a new process for designing our hand-dyed yarn colors. So today I want to share this new color system with you and why we created it. Hey everybody, thank you so much for being here. I'm Felicia from SweetGeorgia Yarns and also the School of Sweet Georgia. We are a hand-dyed yarn company based in Vancouver in Canada. And just as I mentioned, I started this company back in 2005 with just a few skeins of hand-dyed yarn that I dyed at my dining room table. It's all come from this obsession that I have with color, mixing and combining colors, and enjoying the unique subtlety of hand-dyed color. I love nuanced and interesting color that is wearable, but also really full of lightheartedness and just something that's fun to work with. So in the 17 years that we've been dyeing yarn, we've grown into a team of hand dyers who create absolutely stunning hand-dyed yarns every day. Now, after spending all these years designing and creating new colorways, you can imagine that we made a ton of color recipes. At one point, we had so many that we had to do a big cull where we discontinued a lot of the colorways because there was just too many to keep. And so we kept our favorite colors here and there, but the color collections became more and more distinctive and a little bit more difficult to combine from year to year, from collection to collection. Over time, our color offerings became sort of a collection of our favorite colors, but not necessarily colors that matched or combined together well. So one of the biggest challenges that I've always observed is that we as knitters and crocheters and makers and weavers, we can find it difficult to pick and choose colors that go together. So making a color combination that's made out of 2 colors or 3 colors or more colors can start to get really tricky. And so in order to help, I even started to teach classes and workshops on how to understand the color wheel, how to create color combinations. These color theory classes are in the School of Sweet Georgia. But even as the teacher of these color theory classes, I experienced this exact feeling of frustration because I've been wanting to knit more colorwork designs, and I've always been feeling kind of like I was having trouble pulling together colors to make something that I wanted. So then I would go and use the same color combinations again and again, and then I would feel really critical of myself for not stepping out of my box and not trying something different. So to try to help make this process of combining colors even easier, we decided to start from scratch and create a color system. So a color system is fundamentally based on our idea of a color wheel. This here on the table here, this is the foundation of our color system. These 18 hues form the foundation collection that we're calling Element. So this is a color wheel that really represents a lot of what we love at Sweet Georgia. So these colors are crisp and clear and vibrant colors. They lean a little bit more towards the magenta side, sort of allowing us to really enjoy a lot of the subtle hues that you can find in these pinks and purples, and there's just a lot of subtlety here. There's a lot of pinks and purples. We spent months working on this foundational color wheel as a team. So Charlotte and I, we would talk about the different ways of creating this color wheel, how to calculate all the dye formulas, and then the team would dye up multiple sets of tests. And then we would all get together and we would review the tests at least once or twice a week. And we did this for months. We were looking at getting the right saturation, the right depth of shade. We tested for weeks and weeks to get just the right amount of nuance and variation. And so you can see this is just the starting point. You could use any of these colors and combine them into various projects or garments, or you can see where we take this foundation collection. So the goal here with this foundational collection is that we can push or pull these hues in different areas to sort of explore how they can be transformed. So maybe at one point in time, the collection will introduce icy or light colored versions of all of these hues, or maybe there's another collection that is going to produce sort of deeper and darker versions of these hues. Maybe one collection can be a little bit more super saturated variations, and then another collection will be much more subdued and muted variations. lots and lots of things to explore. We decided to use these foundational elements to develop a 10-hue collection that sort of embodies the essence of those deep and woodsy hues in a super wearable collection. So we're calling this color collection Elixir. So as I said before, we spent a lot of time working on getting just the right amount of variation and nuance in our hand-dyed yarns. So I'm going to show you these two skeins are actually the exact same dye formula. But when you look at them, they look completely different because of the way that we applied the dye, even down to the temperature of the water that we used. So I know that in the skein, this one looks like it's sort of full of that hand-dyed look and feel, and it's fun to look at. But we chose to go with a hand-dyed yarn that is a lot more restrained looking in the skein in order to produce a really gorgeous and wearable hand-dyed color. So I really want these colors to have really subtle and delicate variation so that when you knit them up into garments, you see all that nuance and the fact that the color is not actually solid or flat, but it has movement and it has sort of a richness and it's full of life. This collection can be mixed and combined so easily. Just looking at any of these colors, I am just in love with every single one. Any one of these hues could be used to make a gorgeous sweater on its own, and that's what we've been doing with that Novelli tee. That one uses the black raspberry and the amber ale together. And I'm also currently knitting a stripe study, which basically goes through all of these colors in a series, and they just all go together. So here is the stripe study shawl that I've been working on. I'm only partway through it. I still have a few more colors to go through. So this shawl was designed by Vera Välimäki. You can find the pattern online. It is a really wonderful pattern to knit, but I just love how it's moving through all of these colors so beautifully. So in this case, I'm using all of the colors in series, so I get to see all of the colors together. But even if you just picked a few of these colors, they would make really lovely color combinations. Purple, a plummy color, and a mossy color, those would go together well. Or the blue, and this purple here, and this amber ale, that looks really lovely together as well. I'm in love with this color. This is the honey gold color as well. Just really lovely altogether. I'm gonna highlight one color here, which I find actually really interesting. And it looks and feels like a color that is really difficult to describe. Is it maroon? Is it brown? Is it pink? Is it purple? What color is this? I feel like this is the kind of thing that people are always worried about getting to mud or mixing all the colors together equally, and then you end up with a muddy color. I don't feel like this is a muddy color. I feel like this is a very wearable color. We're calling this color vintage, and it was the most interesting color of our entire process because we kept looking at it, and I find that this color just seems to go with everything. So this color could go together with this color really well, could combine with this color really well, could combine with this color really well. It just matches and goes with so many different things because it's a part of all of those things. It's a part of all those colors. So they just naturally come together really well. One of the other aspects of hand-dyed yarn that we really love exploring is how every color dyes differently on different base yarns. So our most popular yarns are Tough Love Socks, Superwash DK, Superwash Worsted, BFL Silk and Fine, and DK. And so here I wanted to show you the different yarns being dyed with the same color, and you can see how different they look. So here are 3 skeins. This one is the DK, Superwash DK. This one is Superwash Worsted, and this one is the BFL and Silk Fine. Now the 2 superwash yarns, they tend to dye more similarly, so they look quite a bit more vibrant, they're a little bit more saturated. They have this feeling where sort of the outside of the yarn is a little bit more intensely colored than the inside of the yarn. I find it a really interesting effect that happens on this yarn just because of the way it creates a lot more roundness to the yarn. So in contrast, this yarn, the BFL Silk Fine, we also have BFL Silk DK. This yarn is made with Blueface Leicester wool, which has not been treated in any way, and then it's been mixed with silk. And so I really love this yarn for sweaters, and it's cozy, it's warm, it's wonderful. I just finished weaving a blanket with all of this yarn, and it's fantastic. This yarn, it does dye a little bit more subtly. It's more smooth in appearance. It's definitely much more delicate. There's less contrast, there's less variation. And so if you're looking for a sweater that has that natural woolly feel, then this is definitely the way to go. I'm also going to give you guys a sneak preview. This is a super sneak preview, but we are also testing these colors on new base yarns, including this yarn. This is a silk yarn. This is 22 silk, so this is really quite a fine yarn here. This is like a very fine lace weight yarn. You could knit this on your own, but this yarn is actually perfect for weaving. And so we are looking at just how this colorway dyes up on this new yarn. And you might not see this yarn until 2023, but it's still something that we are working on. I wanted to show you one more example of how the same color formula can be manipulated and dyed in so many different ways in order to produce completely different effects. So these two skeins, believe it or not, are the same formula. But it is literally the way that the colors are applied, in what order they're applied, at what temperature they are applied, and they just completely produce different effects. This is something that was just eye-opening to us as a dye team, and this is part of the conversations that we had as we were reviewing skeins. We're talking about, like, what is the nature of why this happens versus why this happens, and all of these kinds of things. And so this entire process was a massive learning experience for us. We just gained so much knowledge and experience through this entire process of developing all of these different colorways. Just really excited about all of this. So this is just the very beginning of creating a color system that will become the foundation of all our color design moving forward. So each season we'll release more colors that explore this foundational color system. We can make the system lighter, we can make it darker, deeper, more vibrant, or more subtle. We can move and manipulate this entire system while at the same time knowing that all of the colors are going to work together because they all came from the same starting point. So I know it's really hard to let go of things, especially the things that you have made, but eventually we are going to go through all of our old existing colorways and all of our recipes and pull out our absolute most favorite and most special colorways and save them. And we're going to put them into a special signature color collection. So colors that we developed in the past, like Arbutus and Deep Cove and Magician, those ones are really quite popular and we love them. Those colors really feel like Sweet Georgia. So we want to keep those, but we are also really super excited to see where this whole new color system takes us. So I'm so excited to finally be able to share this with you after all the months that we've spent working on it. I'm really looking forward to seeing what you create with all these colors. So these colorways are all available online now on our website at SweetGeorgiaYarns.com. As always, if you like this episode and you like these colors, please give this video a like. And if you want to see more about knitting and spinning and weaving and dyeing and the fiber arts, please hit subscribe. We come here every Friday, or nearly every Friday, to talk about color and craft. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, bye.